All right, how is everybody doing tonight? It's 8 o'clock and we are ready to go. Let me know if everything looks good with a comment in the comment box. I see Lee's on, Carol's on, and hopefully my voice is good. It was fine on my Facebook Live, impromptu live earlier in the week. So this is the first time I've been on the YouTube platform with my new phone. So hopefully it's working fine. But just let me know. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit on my camera because I can do that now. The other phone I had was a iPhone 8. And this one is a 12 Pro. So I'm still trying to get used to it. So just bear with me a little bit. So I finally made it tonight. Better reception here instead of at camp. Everyone had a good weekend. Yeah. Well, Teresa, I think it was my phone because I've done everything I could do to figure out why my voice was going normal and then not so normal, and it must have been my phone because we did a YouTube or a Facebook live earlier in the week and it was fine. So again, this is the first time I've been on YouTube live, so I guess it's good. So scratch that old iPhone 8 and we just did an upgrade. So looks like everyone's been busy this week. Yep, I've been busy too. Back to work after having like 4 days off last week with my baby, our grandson, and we're going to go see him tomorrow, and our other grandson. So now we have two. So it's super exciting. My husband has not met Hudson yet. So he will be meeting him for the first time tomorrow, and we're going to go hang out at the Wesleyan Middlebury football game tomorrow in Middletown, Connecticut. So if you're in the area, stop by. My son actually works there, so he'll be working the football game as a sports reporter. We're going to make some pumpkin cards today. As you can see in front of us, I've got two. These two cards, if you're watching me from Vermont, I know Denise, there's a couple of you guys that do watch from Vermont that go to my in-person classes. Well, I have an in-person class on October 7th, and it's sold out, which I'm very thankful for. So we have 10 stampers, and these are two of the cards that you're going to be making, although I'm changing this one up a little bit tonight, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But we're making pumpkin cards because that's what was requested. These are two, and the other two I'm not going to show you, so you can be a little bit surprised. But we're going to be using the Pretty Pumpkins bundle tonight for this card here. And on the sentiment here, we've got a bunch of die cuts, and we're mixing and matching some die cuts on this card here. So we're using blends here and mostly just all cardstock here. And then just, of course, the inside of the card here, I colored with blends. Let me just bring it up a little bit closer so you can kind of see. I used Cajun Craze and pumpkin pie with some old olive and some crumb cake. So for the stem there. So that is that one. And here's this one with the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. So you can kind of see my theme with wood grain tonight. So let's see if we've got any. Oh, your grandson broke his leg. Oh, 3-year-old. Oh, that just got to be horrible. Hopefully it's not like 100 degrees there, so the cast doesn't get so super sweaty, but sorry about that, Lee. Please send him my best, of course. So I have a host code here, which is G2NSXCRN. I don't come up with those odd numbers and lettering and host codes, but Stampin' Up does. But so for the month of October, I am offering again. I offered this, I think, back in December, the silicone craft sheet, because it's a great tool to have in your craft room, and I have more than one because in case you misplace it, you have an extra one. And I'm just looking for it right now, which I've got it. And it looks like this. I don't even know what size this is. It's a square, of course. So we can get our handy dandy ruler out. So it looks like it's 6 by 6, which is a great work surface for your adhesive. So that is my host code here. And you can go to inspiredbygram.com to place your order. Just hit the shop now button, and your order needs to be at least $40 in product. All right, so I'm going to get started. Try to get done in an hour's time, but I'm going to be coloring, so who knows? But here is some of this. We're using Pretty Pumpkins, which is a bundle, and it can be found on page 70 of the mini catalog. And please understand, this is the first time I've actually gone, well, second time I've gone live with my new phone. So I'm trying to get used to the area that I can actually film with. So I might get out of focus or what have you, but hopefully I'm not. But anyway, it is on page 70 of the mini catalog. Now this ends at the end of December. So if you don't have this one yet, it's definitely a really nice, kind of like Thanksgiving fall themed set, and it's a bundle which is $45.75. This one here I'm featuring in my retreat in November, so that is that. And then the other card we're going to be making later, we're going to be using the seasonal swirls dies, and that is found on page 71. It is part of a bundle, although I just purchased the dies only for $34, but you can bundle it, and it's called Sparkle of the Season Bundle for $45.75. So sometimes I buy a bundle, and sometimes I just buy what I think I'll tend to use. And I was really intrigued by these little die cut circle images here, and the really cute pumpkin here. So this is what we're going to be using tonight, and I've got them kind of all over the place here. I'm going to do die cutting with the mini cut and emboss because we kind of need to. But these are all the dies that come with those two sets. All right, so let me kind of get started here. I gotta regroup. So I've got my card kits here. It doesn't really matter which one I do. I guess I'll go with this one first, which means we're going to be making this card. All right, I'm gonna just kind of move around here. And is my camera close enough? If not, I can zoom in a little bit more. So if someone will just want to give me a shout out and let me know if I should zoom in or not, that would be appreciated. Again, I'm still trying to get used to this phone, so I have no idea what the viewer sees other than me and what's on my laptop. All right, so what we have here tonight is a Cajun Craze, and I've already cut this at 8.5 by 5.5, and I've pre-scored it at 4 1/4. I used my Stampin' trimmer to do all of that. And the next layer up is Early Espresso, and again, my new go-to size for cards is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I love that size because then you can cut your designer series paper, because I love to use designer series paper. And this is called from, you think I would know it, but it's called Beauty of the Earth. Beauty of the Earth, which is cut 3 3/4 by 5. I like that size because it's easy to remember. And then I've got a piece of Bumblebee cardstock, which I have already embossed with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and the Tasteful Textures embossing folder. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see that or not. And this is measured 2 inches by 5 1/4, okay? And when you emboss, you might start out at you know, your standard like 2 by 5 1/4. Sometimes, depending on the embossing folder, it will either stretch or get smaller, the cardstock itself. So just a little kind of tidbit on that. The inside panel is white. It's your basic white, which is 4 5 1/4. I've got a piece of scrap here from my scrap bin for the sentiment, which we'll fussy cut. I've got another scrap for our pumpkins here, which I'm going to stamp and blend. And then I've got my basic white Stampin' Up! Envelope. Love our envelopes. They're such high quality. Don't send your cards in cheap envelopes because you work so hard on creating cards. You really need to treat them nicely with our Stampin' Up! Envelopes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some stamping first, just because we need to get that ink to dry. I'm using Memento Black, and I'm also using Early Espresso for the sentiment. So I'm going to get the sentiment all ready to go. That's the easiest. And I wanted a kind of smaller, thinner, although they're not all thin on this set, sentiment here to go across those pumpkins. So Gathered Together seemed to be the perfect one. And I'm just going to stamp right in the middle there. Let that dry, because we're going to fussy cut this out. It doesn't matter that it's crooked, because we're going to cut that one out. We're going to close up our ink pad here. And then we're going to be working with Memento Black. And because we are working with Stampin' Blends in a little bit, we need to use our Memento Black because our blends are alcohol based. So here is our pumpkins. I've got 3 on this set here. And I like to take my Memento Black ink pad. Whenever I'm using Memento Black, I just do it this way, just because I feel like I have more control. And I can see the coverage a little bit better. My eyes are not the greatest. I've worn glasses since I was in, or when I was in 3rd grade, so my eyes are not the best. You can also, instead of going like this, you can also kind of move it around like this. I always like to teach people when they're using a Memento Black ink to try that technique as well, using your index finger here as a pressure point. I feel like I can get a little bit better coverage that way. So then I'm going to just take those pumpkins, those pretty pumpkins, and I'm just going to stamp right over here. And then we're going to take that same stamp and we're going to find our inside panel. And we are going to ink that right back up again real quick. And then I'm going to just stamp over in the left lower corner, those pumpkins. All right. Looking pretty easy so far. All right, got those all covered up. Now, when you're working with Stampin' Blends, we all know, or maybe you don't know, so I'll let you know. Make sure you grab a piece of scrap paper to put underneath your work surface, because your blends, the ink is going to go all the way through, and it could really stain your work surface. So I've got 2 of these things to color in. So if you don't want to watch me coloring, because I'm not the best about it, but you can go get your, take a bathroom break, go get a snack, I don't know, go tuck your children or grandchildren into bed, I don't know, do something, or you can sit there and chat amongst all of you guys out there watching me. So I'm not the best blender, but I try to do my best as I can. I'm using the dark Cajun Craze because I want this center pumpkin to be a different color than the 2 on the opposite sides of it. So I'm just kind of doing the outline edge of the pumpkin. And then I'm just kind of following down the lines, and then I kind of go out and make them a little bit wider. Okay. And then we're going to cap it. Make sure when you cap, you go on straight, and it should click Now I've got the light Cajun Craze, and you can use this tip here, which is I call the chisel tip, or you can flip it over and use the wider brush tip, which is a little bit faster, although I don't think you have as much control or this way than using the chisel point. So I tend to use the chisel point like maybe 80% of the time. I don't know. What do you guys do? If you have Stampin' Blends, which is your favorite tip, the brush tip or the chisel tip? Let me know. That would be kind of interesting to see what we all like. All right, so now I'm going to go back with the darker color because I'm just going to go over the whole pumpkin again. And I'm using the brush tip, which I tend to don't like to use, but I'm going to practice because practice kind of makes perfect. So I'm just kind of going up and down, up and down. And there we go. So that's a really deep orange color. I'll bring that a little bit closer to so you can kind of see. Now that ink is still going to dry. It takes a little while to dry. So we're going to move on to the little ones, and I'm going to be using the same color to color the small and the larger ones. So we're going to do those kind of at the same time, basically. So I'm going to be using the dark pumpkin pie. And again, I'm just going over these lines really quick, kind of the outline. Leave the middle there for the lighter blends. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here on this one. And then underneath the stem area and then that little leaf there. Okay, now you got to be careful because it's really hard to see, and I didn't notice this until I completed the other pumpkin. There's a little piece over here section that needs to be colored orange because that leaf kind of ends here. So I kind of like to use again that chisel point. So I don't know if you can see what I just colored in there, right there. That is the pumpkin and not the leaf. And then I'm just going to go around here and then down and around. Same kind of thing I did on that first one. Now I'm going to take the light pumpkin pie and I'm just going to color in over top of that darker color and then in the middle, just going up and down, up and down. And then we're just going to do the same thing on the larger medium-sized pumpkin here on the right side. And then over here and here. So there we go. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit, and we're going to probably go back to this pumpkin pie color. The next thing I'm going to use dark old olive, and I'm going to add dark right in the middle of this leaf here, just in the middle. And then again over here. And then I'm going to take my light old olive and fill in the rest of the leaf here. Now, hopefully, when I get this all colored in, I die cut this and it doesn't, it gets die cut perfectly, right? My first one did great. So sometimes you work so hard to get this die cut. Some people color after they die cut. I guess I could have done that, but I don't tend to think that way. I feel like I need to stamp, then color, and then die cut. So what do you guys prefer doing when you have a shape like this? Would you stamp it in Memento and then die cut and then blend? It'd be interesting also to know what you guys prefer. All right, now let's go to the dark crumb cake, and we're just going to color these in really easy. And over here, and then over here. So we've got 3. Now I said we were going to go back to pumpkin pie, which I think I'm going to. I'm going to make these. They're just too light in the middle there, so I'm just going to color them over with some darker, the dark pumpkin pie. I really do like how the center pumpkin comes out with Cajun Craze. It's just a really deep orange. Okay. Now, guess what? That's the inside. I got to do the front as well. So you guys can watch me do this again, or you can go get a beverage, whatever you choose. I'm just going to chit chat about, let's see, die cut, then color. Oh yeah, Carol, that's a great idea. I should try that next time. Okay, so I'm going to work on the centered pumpkin again, and we'll just get this colored really quickly. So last week I was in Connecticut. I left Monday after work, so actually left at, what time did I leave? Oh, 4:30. And then I drove to Connecticut, got down there in pretty good time, not really bad traffic, which was kind of fun. Monday's different than, of course, a Friday. And Finley was not sleeping, which was good because Mom and Dad were going to the hospital the next day to have baby Hudson, and I didn't want him to be scared because he doesn't get to see me as much as he gets to see his G-Mom and Pepe, who live in Connecticut. So they're lucky they get to watch Finley every Friday, and we get to see him whenever we can. So we're going to go down tomorrow. But anyway, he woke up. Oh gosh, what time did he wake up? I don't know, like I think it was 6:30, which wasn't too bad. But that's kind of early for Karen when Karen wants to sleep, especially when the night before she didn't get much sleep. So I slept on the couch the whole entire 5 nights that I was there, just because this spare bed is downstairs, and I was too nervous that like he didn't know where anybody was, because Mom and Dad stayed at the hospital for how many nights? 3 nights. She had a C-section, so a planned C-section. So anyway, I tell you what, I brought all my card making projects for my retreat, my card club, and my in-person class. Guess what? I did nothing because when Finley went to bed, Grandma went to bed. I was so tired. He is such an active child. Toddler, I should say, right? Toddlers are so active. And when you're not around them as much, you kind of forget. Like, my kids were like that too. But I was much younger. And yeah, so anyway, I did not get any card instructions done. So I think I have 28 instruction sheets or 28 instructions for 28 projects to do. Anyway, and that's the part of card making I don't like to do. Like, I don't like to do instructions because I feel like it takes so long, but some people love to read instructions and some people are like visual. So I try to please both sides of the picture there. Me, I'm a visual and I hate to like take time to read instructions. So I hope, hopefully I can get them done in the car tomorrow because I have almost 3 hours going down. Well, my husband's driving. I already told him he's driving this time, and because I've got to work. So hopefully my laptop will hold the power. The time. I don't get car sick as long as I'm doing something, but if I'm sitting there, that's why I kind of have to drive. I get car sick if I don't. Anyway, Hudson was a beautiful baby. I got to see him in the hospital. That was such a huge surprise because of COVID. They only allowed 1 visitor a day, and I was the first outside visitor to see and meet him. So super fun. Middlesex Hospital in Connecticut is great. And it's like a hotel room. Nothing like I experienced with my own children. But he was, he measured in at 20.5 inches, and he weighed 8.8 ounces. And that's crazy because my daughter-in-law was extremely sick throughout the entire pregnancy. I don't know, there's a name for it. Maybe you know what it is. But she was vomiting almost every single week of her pregnancy. She lost 14 pounds in the beginning, and she delivered 8.8 ounces of boy, like crazy. We were all shocked. And like, apparently the nurses had to weigh Hudson 3 times to make sure that was accurate. Apparently he looked actually bigger than that. But she's doing fine. My son is doing fine. And Finley was able to go to daycare Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, he goes to a different daycare. So I like the fact that he can get some socialization. And enjoy being around kids his age as well. So super fun having grandkids. I'm just making this leaf a little bit darker. Hopefully you guys are still with me. I just got the stems to go, and then we're going to be doing some die cutting. I'm going to be using the mini cut and emboss machine, which I have on my desk right to the left of me. It sits there all the time. It's so easy to die cut, not have to go over to my other table. It's just handy to have right there. Okay, we are done blending. Again, I used, let's see, I'll just go over the colors once again with you in case you want to know. I'll get them all lined up here real nice. So I've got Old Olive Dark and Light, Cajun Craze Dark and Light, Pumpkin Pie Dark and Light, and Dark Crumb Cake. So those are the colors I used. And let me just put those off to the side. Now, let's see if we can die cut. Okay, so, this is why you have scrap paper, right? Because this is all the ink. It's on the back side there. Okay, so we're going to take out the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. This is a mini one. We do have a much larger one, which is a little bit more stable on the work surface. But I love this one. And the plates we're going to use, very simple. We're using standard 1, which is the white one. It's the bottom. And then we're using 2. So mine are getting a little bit bowed just because I've used them quite a bit. So when that happens, I like to take the one that is the flattest and put that one down first. And then let me just, what I'm going to do, since this track is only, I think it's 3¼ inches wide. No, 3½. And I'd like to come in a little bit. So I would say really 3¼ is the die cutting width because of the pressure. So what I will do is when I have a piece of paper like this big, I'm just going to trim it down just a little bit, just because it'll be easier to work with. Okay, and then we're going to find that die on my magnet sheet. It's this one right here. And I already have some washi tape on it because we don't have magnetic plates here. I like to use the washi tape. So now let's get this on here really good. Hopefully I can get it all lined up on camera. It's so much harder because I really don't want to put my head into the camera. But I do want to die cut this really nicely for you guys. All right, let me just, there we go. I'm going to press on that piece of washi tape there. That's going to kind of hold it in place. Then we're going to sandwich it with a number 2. So we've got that white plate number 1, then number 2, then cardstock, die, and then number 2. To get it started, because this one is a little bit, it's so lightweight that it's not as sturdy as the bigger one. I like to push the plates in until this handle over here starts to move. So here we go. I'm going to push it in. It started to move. I'm holding my plates with my left hand. I'm taking the handle with my right because I'm right-handed. And I've kind of started it a little bit. Then I'm going to switch my hand over here. I'm going to hold it tight, but my 4 fingers are going to go on this side over here to hold the machine a little bit better. So just a little trick for you guys, a tip, I guess. It didn't make any cracking noises because those plates are kind of used. Now let's see how I did. Not too bad. All right. I mean, it's a little off, but I don't care. That's fine. All right. So we're going to take this die off. This gets in the recycle bin. This goes back on the magnet sheet because we don't want to lose those. All right. And then I'm going to take my plates here, stack them over to the left there because we're going to use this again on my next card. And see how handy that is? All right. So now we're going to assemble this card, and then we'll move on to the next one. Again, this is what it looks like. All right, so again, we've got our Cajun Craze, which is, I'll go over the measurements again for anybody that came late. This is 8.5 by 5.5, and I have scored it at 4 1/4. And then I've got Early Espresso, and then this is the Beauty of the Earth. Here's the back side, those green trees. The foliage on our trees here, the only leaves where I live that are on trees are the oaks and the beeches. Everything else is gone. So we have lots of like yellows coming through and different colors of yellows. All right, so I just adhered that on there, just 1/8 of an inch border. Then we're going to make sure our card's opening the correct way, and we're going to just adhere this right down. If you wanted, you could add your regular Stampin' Dimensionals to give it some dimension. I'm not going to do that on this panel here, but I will on the pumpkins. All right, that's easy. And then we've got our panel here, which is going to go somewhat, not exactly in the middle. I want to come down here about 1/2 inch of the wood grain showing. And then you can just choose on this one what side you like best. I'd like to use the multi-purpose liquid glue on my embossed panels because it's easier and it seems to stick better. So I'm just going to give that some love and just rub this back and forth. Okay. So that's looking good. I got some glue over here that kind of seeped out. Right over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my eraser here. This is an adhesive eraser. I bought this when I started paper crafting back in 2012. So that's pretty old. 9 years old, almost 10. Okay. It just removes the glue, and you kind of see they're kind of gross, but it works great. Now we're going to take those pretty pumpkins, okay, and we're going to put them over here, but we need to definitely add our Stampin' Dimensionals to it, because if you just put it down here, it gets lost in that bumblebee cardstock on your card. It's just definitely lost. So let's give this some love, and we're going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to add them I'm only going to add 3. You don't, honestly, 3 is enough. So you've got that, form that triangle there. Then just press them with your thumbnail. That's what I do. Some people use your take your pick tool, but I like to do this. Okay, and then we're going to just kind of put this right here. We're not going to place it down yet, because if you notice here, I added some nice ribbon here. Now, this is retired, but I still have some of it. It's called the Fine Art Ribbon. I like it because it was kind of like a crumb cake gold in it. So that's what I'm going to use today. I'm just going to cut off like a 3-inch piece of the ribbon here at an angle. And then this is probably too much. So the only thing about this ribbon is it does fray a little bit. So some people like that and some people don't. I'm going to trim that down just a little bit more. Take a 1/2 inch off and we angle cut it. And then I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal Plus, just because this is super, super strong. And I'm going to add some of that adhesive right on that seam there. And then we're going to add this here. And you can just give it a good press. If you need to add some more Stampin' Seal, you can do that. Okay, that's good. Now, where'd my pretty pumpkins go? Here they are. We're going to add this here. That's good. Give it a good press. Now we can take our sentiment that I stamped with Early Espresso ink, and I'm just going to fussy cut this out. I'll go really quick around that G. And then we're going to go up to that H, just moving my scissors and the paper. And this is the tricky part down here around the H again, and around up here, and then down to the T, A, and G, and around. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, I love the paper snips because they're so super sharp, and I love the cap that they give with these. Just protects me and my fingers, that's for sure. Okay, now we're going to just decide where we want this to go. Since this has got a lot of white in here, I didn't like perfectly die cut that. That's where I'm going to add my sentiment. I just added my liquid glue here, and I'm just going to bring it over here and make sure it's straight and give it a good press. Looking pretty good. We'll open up the card here, and we're going to add the inside panel here. And I will add glue all the way around the edge because I don't want anybody to lift up this panel and see all that ink. Usually I just put adhesive on the back side on the top and call it good. But this one is a little bit different just because of that coloring. Now, the final step, because we need to embellish, we need to give this something, some more like glittery. We're going to use the Artistry Blooms Adhesive Back Sequins. These come in 4 different colors, and what's really nice is they've got some nice oranges in here, different colors there. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to use, not this, like, this size sequin, the largest one is just overkill. You want to go with the smaller ones for this type of card. So I'm going to grab 3. And what I'm going to do is there's 2 different colors here. So we're just going to put 2 over here. And then I'm going to use one of these darker ones over here. Okay. And that's good. If you really want one more step, if you love Wink of Stella, then you'll love to add Wink of Stella on these pumpkins. So I'll do that really quickly. And all you need to do is brush stroke it. Don't like fill in the whole pumpkin. So what I mean by that is I'm going to kind of go where those darker, the black ink is here. Okay. Outline it. And then I'm just going to do some wispy, kind of wispy strokes And then we'll do it over here as well. And then on this one too. And I'm only doing the orange part now. I know it's going to be super hard to see, but what I like about that is now that the pumpkins kind of glitter with that ribbon, and so doesn't the Artistry Bloom sequin. So everything kind of sparkles throughout the whole card. All right, so let me know what you think about that one. All right, got some thumbs up. You make it look so easy. Well, I don't know. I just tried my best. All right, so looks like we don't have... Grandkids do poop you out. That is so funny, Teresa. All right, so I've got some thumbs up. Perfect. All right, so that was the card I made last night. And then this is the card I made tonight with you guys. So super fun card. And actually, this one is really easy to mass produce. If you wanted to make several of these, I would give this one a shot. All right, now we're going to switch over to green. Okay, and this reef card, what I like about this are these really super cute pumpkins here. I might just bring it a little bit closer. Love these little pumpkins, and I'm going to die cut these for you. I'm also going to die cut one of these, I don't know, the foliage reefs, I guess. But with this card, I was looking at it. What I like to do when I make a card is I make it and then I let it set overnight, and my brain set overnight, and then I come back to it. So I came back to it this morning before I went to work. I wanted to just look at it, and I said, it's too thin. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to add 2 layers of reef foliage. One in Evening Evergreen, which this is, and then also one in Blackberry Bliss, because Blackberry Bliss will go nicely with all of these earthy colors. So let's grab my card kit, and we're going to start making this card. We're going to do some die cutting first, just to get that out of the way. Okay, so all of these little pieces, everything here is die cut. So again, let's do that first. We're going to need our mini cut and emboss in the same plate system. I just got to figure out where I put my plates. Do you guys? Oh gosh, here goes Karen. Here they are. You think I would just put them in the same place, but no, not my brain. Okay, so I've got plate number 1. And then I have my clear number 2. And then we're going to find the dies. They're over here. These are, again, are called the Seasonal Swirls dies. They are found in the mini catalog. I'm going to be using this one here. And then this one is really fun too. Let me just show you a quick card. Some of you guys are members of my subscribers to my monthly card club. So I just finished die cutting this one today, and a club is going to be shipped on Monday, just to let you guys know. But this one is stars. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's in Blackberry Bliss. So this die cut is really fun as well. But we are going to be using, again, this one here, and then the little pumpkin, so it's super cute. Then these 2 leaves, and then these 2 leaves. And these are super small dies, so if you have a little cup or container to put them in while you're working with them, or a magnet sheet, I highly suggest, because you can easily lose those. Okay, so we're going to be working in 3 different colors with these. So find a piece of scrap. This is Cajun Craze, and I'm going to run all 3 of these dies together at the same time. And there we go. And we're going to sandwich it with number 2. Again, I push this until that handle starts to move, and then I transition my right hand over. grab it here, put my 4 fingers down so it will stabilize while those dies go through, because it is kind of tight and it requires a little bit of strength. Okay, so what did we just die cut? Some really small pieces, I want you to know. So what's really nice about these is that they die cut 2 individual leaves. Okay, so here they all are. All right. Let me use my envelope so you can kind of see these a little bit better. Okay, so we've got a pumpkin, and I don't know, these are oak leaves maybe, and these could be beech or birch, I don't know. I do know that I think those are definitely oak. So those are in Cajun Craze. The next color we're going to use is pumpkin pie, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to die cut our little pumpkin, our 2 leaves, and some more leaves. So we'll have 4 leaves and 1 pumpkin. And we'll sandwich this together and then push it till that handle starts to move. And there we go. If you're attending my retreat in person or in a box, I will be giving away one of these mini cut and emboss machines to 1 lucky random drawing. I'm not sure what day yet, probably Sunday, not quite sure. I'm going to be giving away some of those fun prizes. I've got a mini cut and emboss, a Stamparatus. I've got Stampin' Scrub with the cleaner. I've got the Taylor tags, some really nice prizes to give away in November. So super fun. If you can't, I'm working with a local convention center to have 3 retreats next year. I'm getting a wicked head start. One is going to be in March, one's going to be in July, and one's going to be in October. I've got to plan it really carefully because I'm going to be going, I can't, some of you guys know I love to hike. So I am going to be hiking with my friend, the Vermont Long Trail next year. And we were going to originally do it in August. That's not going to, I mean September. That's not going to work because my hiking friend, she has a son that's going to be a senior in high school. So, and then I was going to say, let's do it in June. Well, I can't do it in June because the company or the business I work for, we're opening a swimming pool, reopening it. So they need me. I can't take June off because you have to take a whole month to do this hike. It's 272 miles backpacking. So I think it's going to be in August. Gotta check with Sarah though. So Sarah, if you're watching, we need to talk again. We gotta figure it out. So it's basically you're hiking at least 10 miles a day to actually get it done in 27 days. I want to get it done sooner than that. So, but anyway, I'm trying to base all of my classes around that time. And don't worry, I'm still going to be having lots of videos coming out and not any lives during that month of August if we do go hiking. But I will have pre-recorded videos. And I still plan on doing club and all that good stuff. I'm just going to have to work a little bit harder, but I'll be working more in my craft room than actually at my 40-hour work week because I'm going to be working less than that next year. So anyway, that is my story. And I'm sticking to it. All right, one more thing we need to do is we need to die cut. This is super fun die, you guys. So I already die cut it with Blackberry Bliss. Okay, this, I really don't know if you can see this or not, but when you die cut, it creates these nice detailed leaves. And I really hope you could see this one. It's a super dark color and you probably can't, but trust me, it's beautiful. So we're going to take that die and I'm going to use some Evening Evergreen cardstock because we're changing it up. And this does fit on the mini cut and emboss, but you got to be really careful because this is a super wide die. And we want to make sure we don't cut any of those leaves off. I think I've got it good. And I just need to find my other plate. Oh, Karen, what did I do with my other plate? There it is. Okay. I'm going to sneak this on really carefully because I don't want to shift that at all. I want to make a good sandwich because this is a really big die, but it does look, I cut that Blackberry Bliss one out with the mini cut and emboss machine. So you can see how versatile this die cutting machine is. It's $60 if you are a customer, but if you're a demonstrator, you get your 20 or 25% off. So it's definitely worth being a demonstrator when you want to purchase paper crafting supplies. Okay, we're going to close this up because guess what? We're finally done with that die cutting. And then let's see what we came up with. You've got some scraps. Now this you could use again. You could punch something out of that and use that. But let's just poke this. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool just to grab one of those foliages. It comes out super easy. And then most of the time you have these little pieces here that just pop off. You just got to use your thumbnail and they come right off. Okay, so those are the little pieces. And I just die cut the star-shaped one 44 times and it worked really nicely. So that is one in Evening Evergreen. I really hope you can see the detailed leaves on this. Okay, so now our card assembly. I've got Evening Evergreen cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Then we have our basic white, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm using Early Espresso again. Again, it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then this wood grain paper comes from In Good Taste Designer Series paper. Now it looks fine this way. This way would be okay too, but I think it's a little bit busy. Since I'm working with wood grain today, we are going to be adhering it so we see the wood grain. So I'm just going to take my glue here, add it, and then we are going to adhere it right down on that Early Espresso. Oh, I didn't get it. Let me take that right off real quick. I just add a little bit more glue there. I didn't get it on exactly like the way I wanted to, so that glue did not set. There we go. Okay, again, I'm going to not put Stampin' Dimensionals on this panel. You could if you wanted to, just to give it a little bit of dimension, but I'm just going to use my glue, make sure our card is opening up correctly. And then I kind of like, before I put this on, where I want the dark, like there's dark sections over here and much lighter ones over here, or that way. It doesn't really matter. It's definitely whatever you want your card to be. I like that the dark is over here. Now, I did not stamp on this panel, and I should have before I layered that down, but that's okay. We're going to wing it. I've got Evening Evergreen ink, which is the same color as the card base. And then I'm stamping right on the Designer Series paper because anything else like raised up would really distract from the reef image that we are going to be making. So I just wanted to go just right onto that designer series paper. Now, this is the original card here with one reef. Now we're going to add two. So I don't know what this is going to turn out to be. It could be great or it might not be. So we're going to see how it's going to look. So I'm going to just place these reefs on here, and kind of looking now for the areas that are more open. So see, you've got your foliage here and you got foliage here, but you don't have any here. So now let's take that evening evergreen one, and I don't want the same design next to each other. So we're going to move it around to, let's see, maybe right here. So that's a double reef. It's definitely much, let's just look at these side by side. It's much thicker, I guess, and it's much more like prominent with using two and using two different colors. You could get away with just using evening evergreen again, but it's totally up to you if you want to do the same color or not. Now, if you want to see what it looks like with the Blackberry Bliss on top, that's easy to do because we haven't adhered these yet. It would look like that. And I think that, excuse me, I think that's the way, actually, I'm going to put the Blackberry Bliss on the bottom because of the colors, all these other colors we're using, which is Cajun Craze, Pumpkin Pie, and Crushed Curry. No, Bumblebee. It's gonna, I think it's gonna look a little bit better on sitting on the evening evergreen. So I'm just gonna take my liquid glue here and I'm gonna find the largest pieces, and that's the foliage, and just dotting those. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to find where there's pieces of cardstock that are a little bit thick. Okay, that should be good. And now I'm just going to add this. And once I think it's good, you can take a block and just press it down with a block. That way your fingers don't get all messy. If you get adhesive on your clear blocks, you can take some Goo Gone, some Windex. I also like to use Stays-On cleaner. That stuff works great. Now we're going to repeat the same process, just making sure I'm putting glue on the correct side. And you'll be able to tell because the back side is rather rough. So just go around and dab your glue. And I just want to get some over here. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. And remember, I don't want the same ones in the same area. So I'm just going to rotate it till I like it, which is here. And again, I'm going to take my block and I'm just going to kind of press it down and hold it for a good 5 seconds or so. Okay. Now we're going to have some fun. We're going to add everything else. So on my original card here, I added some mini dimensionals under the Cajun Craze one. So we're going to do the same thing. Let me find the Cajun Craze. And let me also find my tweezers because it's going to be really helpful with these smaller pieces if you can't pick up your pieces. Let me grab my silicone craft sheet too. I don't know where that went. There it is. Okay, it might be easier. So I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to take a mini dimensional and I'm going to add it to the back of that Cajun Craze, and then I'm going to just take that right off. And I'm going to add it right here. Now I'm going to take the pumpkin pie and the bumblebee, These are going to have glue on them. So just a little dot of glue is all you need. And then you can take your tweezers and you can pick them up real easy and then slide it underneath the Cajun craze. And just hold it in place. And then you're going to do the same thing. And we're going to slide this right underneath. So we've got all 3 pumpkins. And I'm working with odd numbers, right? So 2 pumpkins would have looked not right. You got to do 3, make 1 special and give it a dimensional so it's lifted up. You could leave it like this if you really wanted to, or you can take a combination of these other ones here. I'm going to just put them on my silicone craft sheet because it'll be much easier. And I'm going to flip them over so they're on the rough side facing me so I can add my glue. It's so hard if you don't have fingernails long enough to grab. That's what I'm struggling with a little bit. So I'm going to use these little tweezers that Lee gave those to me. I think, Lee, you're watching. At least I saw a comment from Lee earlier. Okay. Okay, I think I've got, nope, a few more, 2 more. So it's easier to just start doing the same thing rather than keep going back. Okay, so what I mean by that is I'm going to add my liquid glue to every one of these. Just a dot. Okay. One more. Okay. This is kind of like a mass production. It's how I make my craft fair items and all that good stuff. So, all right. So now on the original card, I added 1 of each color. So we are going to do that again. We are going to take one of these orange leaves. And I'm just going to put it over here. And then I will take a yellow one. And I'm going to angle it going the other way. And now how about a Cajun craze? Let's grab that one and we'll put that one right in the center. Okay, so that's great. It's opposite. Now we're going to work in this area over here and just kind of do the same thing. So I'm going to take one of these oak leaves and we'll put it over here. And then let's take another one in Cajun Craze, angle it. And then we will grab one of the yellow ones and put it that way. Okay, you see how these are opposite? I've got Cajun Craze on the top here and the bumblebee color over here. Now over here, we're going to make sure that the orange is on top. Okay, so we're going to, oops, we'll add one over here. Oops, and then Cajun Craze. And then the pumpkin pie. Let's go with a smaller one. Okay. Now, while this is drying, I'm going to work on the inside panel. I still have 3 of these beautiful leaves left. And on the inside, I had some of the designer series paper I put on the bottom, so we can go ahead and do that. Okay, just like that. And then this is just a scrap, so it's not my normal 4 inches across. It's 3 3/4, which was the size of the panel in the front of the card. It was just a scrap from that. Then I thought it would be kind of nice to put these leaves kind of like they're falling out of the sky, or it's a windy day, kind of like it was windy here today, which is kind of strange because we haven't had wind like all for months, and it was crazy windy. So I'm just going to add that one here. Okay, kind of falling, right? Then I'm just going to add my glue. And then let's add this one. Okay. Oops. That didn't get on straight. Let me do that one more time. Okay. Now we're going to embellish, of course, because we have to embellish. There's no ribbon in this card. Oh, actually, there is. I forgot about that. We've got our linen thread. And I'm going to make a really quick bow with the 10-second bow maker. And this is Crumb Cake linen thread. It's the combo pack. And I'm just going to make a single bow. That's how I make my bows, you guys. I'm not a bow maker. Then I'm going to take one of my glue dots and we'll add it. And then I'm going to pinch it. And then I'm just going to figure out where I want to put it. That's the hardest part about this card, was where I wanted to put this little bow. So I think I'm going to put it up high on this one. And I'm just going to trim these down just a tiny bit because I want them long. Now, the final is we're going to take the metallic pearls here, which I have a few left. The basic pearls would work fine as well. I'm just going to take the gold ones and I'm going to add 3. It's an odd number. 1. And I'm going to use the putty side because these are so small. Let's add one over here. And down here. Okay, so let's clean up my glue, get everything organized so we can put these side by side. And I know that you're going to say this one is fabulous. Well, they're both pretty, but definitely in person, this one is striking just because it's so much fuller, right? So sometimes when you are creating cards and you want, like, you're not sure of it, just set it aside and come back to it the next day, because you might figure out, oh yeah, definitely, now I look at this, well, this one is, poor thing, is like, it needs something, right? Like, look at, and then if you really want, you can take some Wink of Stella and you can just add a little bit of glitter to those little beautiful pumpkins over here and make those babies shine, because you will like the effect of that, because they're just going to be so beautiful. And I'm going to do that to this sample one over here as well. I hope you guys liked tonight's cards. I figured I'd be working with pumpkins. Next week, I'm not sure what I'll be making. Maybe start my Christmas cards, because we're all worried about the post office, and they're saying, like, if you don't mail things by such and such a day. Well, people aren't going to get your Christmas card. So people are probably going to be starting to send their Christmas cards like in the next week or so. But I'm not going to be, but because I trust the mail, because guess what? I send out 22 card club orders every single month, and they get there in a timely manner. So I'm not too worried about the mail yet. Maybe when it's late December, it will be an issue, but I think we're good. Gotta trust, right? All right, so that is your card. And let me bring back the one in the beginning that we made here. So these two here, and then these two. So if you like these cards and you would like to be put in the random drawing, let me know by sending me an email. I'd love to give one it. I'll be giving these two away. These two here. Sorry, I need this one for my class. So you're going to get this one. And maybe I'll throw in, like, I got another Mossy Meadow die, like, in here, and I'll put that in this card so somebody can have that. But if you would like to be put in the random drawing to win these cards, I will just email me at inspiredbygraham@gmail.com, and next week I will let you know who won the cards. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. That their weekend is filled with much love and happiness. And thank you so much for watching me make these cards tonight. Have a great time. All right.